Well, I really appreciate that. I've got my own harsh opinions as being the creator of these things, but
We always do. We
it
always
is what it
criticize
is.
ourselves too much.
Yeah, I know. It's that actually is one of the things I was talking about with the podcast I recorded yesterday with a bunch of my friends. The demons of your creative desires and your workflow and all those things, because it can certainly be one of those things. It's damned if you do, damned if you don't. Also, I don't know if you noticed or not, this podcast is explicit. You can say whatever you want.
That's cool.
I don't really edit it. I just throw it out there.
Yeah.
All right, well, then, just feel free to speak freely.
Okay.
But I've been recording for about 30 seconds here.
Okay.
We're going to roll into this. I'm going to do the little spiel and then we can talk.
Well, sweet. Okay.
All right. So, hello, everybody. This is another episode of the KAAMP. That is the Knox Area Artist Networking Platform. And today we have a cool guest. Would you please introduce yourself?
I'm Kara Lockmiller. I am a local artist. I paint mostly musicians. If you've seen, I don't know, the Dolly portraits and stuff around, a lot of those are mine. Of course, I don't just do Dolly. I do, every genre. But
I saw you had a James Brown one. I'm a big James Brown fan.
Yeah, I love that. I love James Brown, and like I said, all different kinds of genres I love.
Yeah, you do have quite the variety on your site right now.
Well, and mostly it's like classic rock.
Yeah.
A lot of it is. Of course, I'm telling my age. I'm 42, so it's
You got plenty of inspiration to draw from.
I've got a ton of inspiration. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
If we're not making me feel old.
Hey, experience and inspiration are priceless.
Yeah.
So, do you have any formal art education?
I absolutely do not.
Excellent.
Most of it was, I started drawing when I was really little. Just drawing different things. I really gravitate toward musicians, though, because I have there's a condition, it's a synesthesia. It's where your the best way to describe it's where your senses are kind of jumbled, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the concept.
Yeah. So for a long time, whenever I listen to music, it's not like all these dancing colors or anything like anybody would imagine. But when I listen to music, if I close my eyes, I can see color. And that's where the color comes from in my paintings.
So that's how your composition comes to you.
I thought that was normal, that everybody saw that, and come to find out many years ago, I'm kind of a freak as far as that's concerned, but that's okay.
That's an unusual perception of things.
Yeah.
But you use it to your advantage, it seems. And you enjoy it, right?
I do. I love it.
So what's your workflow like?
Oh gosh, it really is dependent upon two things. One, if I'm doing it for myself, okay, and the other if I'm doing a commission.
I like that you break it down like that.
Yeah, and they're different. They have two different workflows. A commission, I'll go and I oftentimes let the client pick the colors and let the client decide what image I use or whatnot, and it's still as creative as it is if I'm doing it, but it's just. I like to think of it as seeing a musician through somebody else's eyes.
Yeah.
Because, with mine, the ones that I want to paint, you see them through my eyes, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, like right now I'm doing a Prince and for a lady, and she wants it mostly like grays and mauves and purples, which is really cool. Not necessarily something that I would pick for him, but I really like the way it's coming out.
I have faith that it can be really cool.
Yeah, I like it. It's really cool. And then right now I'm working on a Syd Barrett for myself.
Oh, nice.
And I have there's I don't know, I've always loved Pink Floyd and I kind of look at Syd through I don't know, are you familiar with Syd?
Yeah.
And, his mental health and all that really came into play. I'm probably going to donate the proceeds from that painting. It's not come out yet, but probably going to donate the proceeds of that painting. I've contacted his family on via his website, contacted his family to ask if there's an organization that they use or they donate to as far as mental health goes. So I'm waiting on an answer from them, but as soon as I get that, I would like to donate the proceeds, from Syd's painting.
Very nice.
So.
And why is that a passion project right now?
I'm into the Pink Floyd right now. I'm kind of into that era. And I've always been a mental health advocate. I've got a lot of anxiety and stuff, and I've got a lot of friends who, have experienced a lot of different things.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a huge stigma attached to mental health that doesn't need to be there.
I agree.
You know?
Yeah.
So, that's one of the things I'm passionate about. And Sid's actually the first time that I've ever got to really blend art and the mental health side. So it's pretty cool.
And that's been have you had a good time mixing those two?
Yeah.
Ideas in the way you do?
Yeah,
Good.
seriously. And I keep thinking, I told my husband this morning, I was like, I've got to get his eyes right.
Because you have to.
Yeah, because they talked about, with Sid right before he left the band, how his eyes changed, his demeanor changed. And I said, I've got to get his eyes right for the period that I'm painting him from. So and you put a lot of pressure on yourself, but
yeah,
you got to get it right. That's important to a lot of people. So,
I mean, that's what people look at first in a portrait of any kind.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the damned if you do, damned if you don't part.
Yeah,
you
that's
got to
true.
do it.
One of my most popular ones was called The Night, and it featured Chris Cornell. And I think that one of the reasons it was so popular is because of the way that I set the eyes off. And it was like a half face.
Yeah.
So usually I'll do a full face portrait, but this one was a half face. And I don't know, I think it just struck a chord with people a little bit differently.
That's fair.
So the eyes
there's a good contrast from the rest of your body of work.
Yeah.
Well, do you have what's your workflow look like? Is there a routine? Is it a lot of random inspirations? A lot of spur of the moment?
It's really a lot of random inspirations, like what I listen to and things. But as far as like once I decide on a musician that I'm going to paint, I will usually decide, okay, what era do I want to paint them in? Like for Mick Jagger, I painted Mick Jagger a while ago. I painted him very young, and there's a reason for that, is because I really liked his music during that era. Yeah. Of course, everybody likes Jagger, but during that specific era. So I pick them, depending on the era that I want to paint them, and then I'll listen to their music, really kind of immerse myself into it. I'll listen to it while I'm painting. And as far as the images go, what I do is I'll grid them out, and then I will draw them from there. I like to have the image in a black and white because the way that it helps me see the shadows. So like when I draw, I don't draw like an eye and an ear and a nose and a mouth. What I do is I go, like I can look at us sitting here, I can look at the shadows on your face, and I can see how I would draw you based on those.
Right.
Instead of, do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, you use the contrast to sort of map out where you want your variations in
exactly.
color.
Yeah. So that's how I draw, and that's pretty much what that looks like. And then I'll go into, again, deciding what colors I want to use based on what I see, do the palette, and just really start painting while I listen to music. And that's, there's a lot of texture in my paintings that a lot of people can't see. One of the things I have most people tell me whenever they walk up to look at my artwork, like at markets and stuff, it's like, oh my God, I didn't realize there was so much texture, and there is.
Yeah, well, it's hard to get on a screen.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous because they look almost like posters. Online.
Yeah.
But they're so not. I mean, seriously, like you can take your hand and rub it across it, which is fine because it's acrylic,
right?
And stands up. But I mean, it's just there's so much texture to it, and it sucks that you can't. You can't.
It's really hard to capture that with a lens.
Yeah.
It really is, especially when you're taking a straight on picture.
So I've started using molding clay a little bit.
Yeah.
And kind of trying to branch out as far as that goes.
And adding some depth and physicality to it.
Yep.
A bit more tangible.
And it looked good. I did Jim Croce's hair like that.
Nice.
The real curly hair.
He does have really curly hair.
Did Lady Gaga. I donated her. And she had beautiful hair. It was one of her hanging upside down off of a stage during one of her performances, and her hair was just kind of flowing, So she was cool looking. But there's always something about every artist that I paint. Like there's always something that I pick up on that I'm like, okay, that makes you different. You
figure out whatever that thing is.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
Do you try to represent that, the spark that you see?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what I try to let people see is like, okay, what do I see when I listen to these people? Well, these are the colors I see, and these are the things that I see that I think are pretty cool, and I guess some other people do too, because people seem to like them,
right? Yeah.
So yeah,
people, they buy them and they say nice things.
Yeah, they buy them and they say nice things, and one of them even grew legs and walked away.
Uh-oh. That's when you know it's really desirable.
Did you hear about that?
I did not.
You didn't?
Was that at the street market in South Knox?
No. This was actually because I always display my artwork, or I try to always display for First Fridays and stuff. So I'm always trying to have my artwork in some location, physical location. So I was at a location a few months ago, not going to say where, but was at a location a few months ago and had a painting called Lady Luck of Dolly hanging up. Well,
of course it was a Dolly
when I
painting.
went to pick up my artwork, Lady Luck wasn't there. And Lady Luck was nowhere to be found. So my only conclusion is
It just grow legs.
she had to grow legs and walk away. So if anybody out there sees Lady Luck, yeah,
It can grow legs twice and come back.
it could. That would be sweet. No, but I it's, of course I mind being an artist, but at the same point in time, it's like, man, I hope somebody just loved her that much.
Yeah, they really wanted it.
You know?
Yeah. It's a backhanded compliment.
It is. A buddy of mine was like, hey, you're up there with Picasso. I'm like, yeah, but I don't, that's not cool. That's not cool, man.
That's not what I want.
I'm talking about a painting being stolen, and you're like, hey. No, he was trying to, I think, bring out a positive to a negative.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I would feel mildly complimented in that case.
Absolutely. I could see that, but it's just, I don't know.
Stings.
It does sting a little bit. It's a little bit of a sore spot, and it does sting a little.
Were you really attached to that particular one?
I wasn't really attached to it. Like, I'm attached to all my paintings.
Right.
Believe it or not, I know where most of them are. Like, I've got this map. This is how dorky I am. I've got this map hanging up, and it's got all these pins where all of my paintings are. So it's a map of the United States, and it's got...
I need to start doing that.
You don't do that?
I have a mental list, but there's no, tangible execution of it.
It's so cool.
I've got more things on the coast than I do in the middle of the country. Yeah.
Me too. I've got... I'm pretty popular, it seems to be, in Florida, for whatever reason, and Michigan, and Memphis.
Memphis.
Don't know
that
why.
Makes sense.
The music for Memphis, but
I've got a lot of stuff in New Jersey and New York, Vermont.
That's cool.
Some in Pennsylvania and Kentucky and West Virginia. And then a lot of it is in Texas and then California and Denver.
That's cool.
And then Oregon. I have some in Oregon too. So
sweet.
Yeah.
And they've got good taste in Oregon.
The furthest away, they do.
Yeah.
They really do.
Yeah.
The furthest away I've sent one is Berlin.
Really?
So I do have a piece in Berlin.
See, I haven't tried shipping overseas yet.
Oh, it was a wreck on my nerves.
Was it?
But I didn't have a problem with it other than wearing myself to death waiting on it.
How big was it?
It was an 11 by 14, I think.
Okay.
Framed, wrapped very well in bubble wrap and a box inside of a box.
Yeah.
Between bubble wraps again.
Yep.
And I sent it to a giveaway winner. And it was a free giveaway, blah, blah, blah. It cost me $50 to send it.
I've had stuff like that happen.
It was great. I told them either I
send
messed
it
up.
Wherever.
Yeah, I said, just enter. If you follow me, go. I'll ship it.
And from now on, you're going to put you must be local or be a resident of the United States.
If you're an international shipper, you're going to pay me half. If you're an international resident, I'll split you on the shipping.
Yeah.
But otherwise, if you're domestic, I'll send it domestic.
Shipping's one of those things that, man, if all I had to do being an artist was paint, I'd be so happy.
Oh, man.
But all those other little things like shipping, because mine are usually pretty big.
Yeah.
So I have to go.
That can get pricey if it's over a foot by foot.
Well, I have to go and get foam board and cut the foam board exactly so, because I put a piece of foam board on each side. Make sure the corners are well supported, then put foam board on the front and the back, and then build the box around it. That's how I ship.
That's pretty good.
So it's, it can get, especially whenever you're sending something like a 36 by 36.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
It's,
a friend of mine was recently contemplating about just buying unstretched canvases and rolling it up and sending it to people.
Good luck to that friend.
Yeah, that's kind of what I said, but it was either the buyer pays $400 to ship it, or they get paid, or they pay $50 to get it stretched. Yeah. So that's how I feel about it.
I'm not sure how that. I mean, how would that? If you painted that and then had it stretched, would that not?
Well, I mean, you don't have to put a ton of attention on it just to
Yeah.
have it, on a camera.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, you can tell I have no experience in that
I've
whatsoever.
only had one thing, stretch, but I'm sure I'll learn a lot at some point when I get out to Crossville. There's a lady that runs a frame shop that I'm going to interview. So I'll get out there at some point and I'll learn quite a bit. I'm so sure. I look forward to it. But, it's not, like, you don't have to stretch it so hard enough it'll stretch the pain or anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that was a very cost-effective idea.
It is a good idea.
Because I would rather pay $40 to get something stretched than $400 to get a whole thing shipped to my house.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the most I've ever had as far as shipping goes, like as far as just the shipping cost, not the material, I think it's about close to $100 to get out to
that
California.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah.
The $50 I was talking about was just for shipping charges, like international. Yeah. And, I had $12-15 in the bubble wrap and the boxes and everything else.
Yep, and then
I even put tape on the glass so it holds the glass better. Like all the tricks I do.
Listen to you, and I bet it made it there perfectly.
It did, but it sat about 2/3 longer in customs than it said it would. So 6 to 10 weeks in international customs is normal. It was in there for like 17 weeks or something like that.
I think I'm going to try international shipping. I think you've talked me into it. We'll see.
Well, just
maybe I'll let you know the first one I do.
There is inherent
Thomas, it's your fault. No,
inherent investment of patience in this, because waiting for customs to let it go isn't it? Like, how long does it take to x-ray something? Like, I get it, millions of things.
Yeah.
But it doesn't stop me from racking my brain here at the house. Like, when is it gonna get there?
Or the person going, excuse me.
I was really lucky. The dude didn't say anything. I just told him, like, it's in customs. After that, it'll be on your way.
Well, it's a gift, so you can't,
He didn't like run me up the tree or nothing. So it's fine.
That's cool.
Yeah, really, really cool person. I don't remember their name at the moment, but
awesome.
They're all right.
Awesome.
So West Berlin is cool. That's the furthest way I got already. So is your workflow a cathartic experience for you? Does it help you remain mildly sane or not murder people?
It does, unless, well, I mean, people think I'm nuts because I can paint with my kids in the background. And, as long as they don't mess with my music, it doesn't really mess with me. Like, I've got two 13-year-olds.
Your focus is.
And a 9-year-old, yeah. So,
the house can get loud.
Well, the 13-year-olds are usually, back in their rooms doing their thing. Yeah. And then my little 9-year-old, Gabriel, loves to talk. However, I will tell you, though, from sitting and listening to me paint and listen to music, he can identify Queen, the Rolling Stones, the lead singers of almost everything I listen to. So I'm happy.
Yeah, I mean,
I've done my job as a parent.
That's a win right there.
Yeah, a 9-year-old that can identify that stuff.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be all right with that.
But yeah, it definitely is very cathartic for me. Absolutely. It brings me down into a zone that really nothing else does, if that makes sense.
Yeah, get into the flow state. Mm-hmm. That's a question I like to ask people, because I find that in my workflow. And I know not everybody finds it in their workflow.
Yeah.
But the curious part about it, for those that do find it, is the where and the how.
Yeah.
Because we all know what it's like if we know what it's like. But it's how do you get there, and what do you do to facilitate such?
I think your mind just has to fall into it. I don't think you can go into it going, okay, I'm going to get in this state. I mean, I think that it's just something that happens. It's got to happen naturally.
Yeah.
And I think that you can tell a difference in somebody's work who was in that state versus somebody who wasn't. Because I can look at my work and I can tell you, okay, when I painted this, I was in this state. Or when I painted this, that's why I got rid of it. Or whatever else. I mean, you know what I'm talking about. I mean, how many canvases have you thrown away?
Or painted over.
Exactly.
Or, just decided that it was a total wash.
Yeah, if I holler for my gesso, if my husband hears me shout for my gesso, he knows what's up. Yeah.
Cover it up.
Yep, cover it up, start again.
Yeah.
But that's pretty normal, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I definitely find that to be a healthful practice for myself.
Yeah.
So I like to see how and why it is for other people too, as a creative person.
Yeah.
do you have any creative workflow demons? Does your stuff in your head keep you up at night, or is there anything that just irks you about being a creative person?
There's nothing that irks me, but I'll tell you, like if I'm in the middle of a painting and something doesn't feel right, I'll go because I paint in the living room. I wish I could have this huge studio and whatnot, but I
Mine's
just
about
don't.
8 by 10 and it's upstairs. Don't feel bad.
Yeah, well, I mean, seriously, like mine is in my living room, and I will stand there and just stare at whatever I'm doing, and my husband's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "There's something off," and I swear to you, I will sit there and stare, and just look and look until I figure it out and until I fix it. Mm-hmm. Like I can't, if there's something off with something I'm doing, I can't go to sleep. I can't whatever until it's fixed, because it just grinds on my nerves.
Yeah, I know exactly what that's like. I'll have things in my head for weeks, months, however long it takes.
You gotta get it out.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah.
And it sits there and it distills in the back of my mind until I'm either confident in the thing I'm trying to execute on this piece.
Yeah.
Or it has bugged the piss out of me enough to where I just can't really think of anything else. And that's when I just have to begrudgingly sit down and do this thing.
I saw that raffle piece that you did.
Raffle piece?
Yeah, didn't you do a raffle piece?
Oh, the raffle.
Yeah.
Yes, I did do the raffle. It's upstairs. I can show it to you like in person.
I saw that on your Instagram, and I was like, that's really cool. And I think you said something about it having been in your head for a while.
Oh, God, so long.
Yeah.
And saying that is like 2.5, 3 months. It's generally about the longest I ever really try to let anything fester in the back of my mind. But I just became really enthralled with the challenge of doing eyeballs.
Really?
Yeah, well, that's the blue ring, and that is supposed to be an iris. And I'd done a large piece, an 8 by 12 at an art park in Waverly, which is an event I go to as often as I can. Waverly Walls Art Park, everybody. It's a great place, privately owned, open to the public, 24/7. Go make a mural on any given wall. There's like 72 surfaces.
Seriously?
Yeah, it's great. Huh. So I did this piece, sketched it out before I left, got there, did the wall, big eyeball, storm behind it, lightning strike in the middle. Sort of a admiration of destruction and creation kind of piece, because the town where this happened, every quarter or whatever, had just been flooded really bad. So, So a lot of people were doing memorials of victims and, like happy, pretty, colorful things and, all kinds of stuff. And a lot of people had that sort of creation, destruction, and interplay in their work as just some concept that for some reason felt appropriate.
No, I think it's absolutely appropriate. I mean, you view things differently, and it's a disaster. I mean, I guess if you knew some of the people, maybe it would be happy-go-lucky or whatever. But, I mean, if you're looking at it broadly, I think just as a catastrophe, it'd be a lot like what you painted.
So, on that piece, I tried to do a large, 8-foot-tall iris, a tricolor iris, blue, green, and orange.
Cool.
And that was the first time I'd done something I felt was really technical with spray cans on a wall at that size. And I came home and I was like, well, I'm not done with this theme, so I need to do something else. So the thing, like different executions of this theme had come out of my fingers at different points, but I wasn't done with it, so I had to do another thing,
Yeah, I get that.
So the another thing was the raffle piece, and I think I'm done with it now.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You've gotten all that out of your system?
Yeah, I couldn't really do any of my pinstripey geometric mandala style on the wall in Waverly, and I was okay with that because I wasn't trying to do that there. But the mandala stuff, vignettes with the gold in the corners, and just a few other things that, for my own personal pleasure, I wanted to incorporate this on top of the idea that wouldn't leave me alone. Is
that the first mural you've done?
No.
I've been asked to do one a couple of times. I'm scared to death.
Why?
I don't know. I just am. It's kind of one of those things where, I don't know, you step out of your comfort zone, and which I do quite often, but it's just, I don't know. Just something on that size. The largest thing I've ever done is a canvas that was 6 feet by 6 feet. and then I had to ship that to Chicago.
Oh, no.
That is a whole nother, by train, okay?
Oh, okay.
But that's the largest I've ever done, and a mural would be so much larger.
Oh, an 8x12 wall feels like, it feels like a wall, but it's really not that big.
No,
it feels smaller
bad.
than it is, which is always like, well, I need a bigger wall. And I feel like once you get that sort of sensation in your in your headspace, it's just another wall, no matter how big it is.
Did people watch you do it?
Yeah, it's open to the public during the event, so people can walk through. Yeah,
because I'm usually really zoned in when I'm drawing. So I've only had, the only people who have ever really seen me draw is like my family.
Yeah.
You know, because I don't do it at markets and stuff because it's too.
Yeah, you have to.
There's
focus
too much going on. Yeah. So, but I think that I would love to do it. I'm just paralyzed. I don't know. There's a fear there.
The first big mural I did was like 50 feet long, 8 or 9 feet tall in some spots. I didn't do it myself. I did it with a friend of mine. Shout Nick. I
was going to say, that's go big or go home, right?
Nick Shipley and I, we do some stuff on walls every now and again, and we knocked that one out on a private wall on a friend's property.
That's cool.
And then I've done 4 different events at the Walls Art Park, and a couple different live paint events around town, and then I'll do concerts and events and stuff like at the concourse and things like that. And if I get a wild hair at my ass, I'll just go sit up in Market Square and paint.
You need to get a wall at Bonnaroo.
I don't really care for Bonnaroo that much.
No?
I've been several times, and I've had my fun with it.
Well, see, I went the first 6 years. Like the very first 6 years, and then it changed. It was something else.
10 and 12, I think. And so it's super corporate now, and I don't really care for it.
Yeah, see, it was not like that. I was there the very first year.
I can imagine.
And it was like, I mean, you didn't lock anything. You didn't have to worry about anything getting taken. It was, I mean, so not what it is now.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely not that anymore.
But yeah. But I mean, it was like that for the first 6 years that I went. It was a lot like that. Of course, this is before they actually bought the farm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, you know.
But I've painted at festivals and done such things. I do really enjoy it.
Yeah.
I like painting with the public around a lot. It's fun.
Well, maybe I'll get the courage up and do a dolly or something.
I mean, if you really just want to do it on a Saturday, go sit up in public without even an event going on, because that's going to be a really relaxed time anyway.
Okay.
Like, I do it just when I get bored.
Yeah.
Like, I've been plenty of Saturday nights where I didn't know what to do, so I just took like a 12 by 24 canvas and went and sat in public somewhere. Yeah.
I guess people just sit there and watch, huh?
Some do, and then, you get the obnoxious ones that come up and ask you what you're doing, and then you don't have a good answer for them, and they're like, rah, 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 and they walk off,
See, I did the art slam for Dogwood Arts.
Yeah.
And that's what we did. We painted in Strong Alley. Mm-hmm. There were a bunch of us. And it was interesting because the way, like I said, I draw in shapes, the highlights and lowlights and stuff. And people really could not see what I was drawing until I started adding the color to it.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I got everything from, is that a horse head? Or is that this or that? And it was Johnny Cash and June Carter Cash. But they couldn't tell. They couldn't see it.
Well, you're the one that's used to looking at it all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're just like, yeah. Mm-hmm. How do you not?
Yeah. I'm like, seriously, there's the eye and there's come on.
Yeah, that's funny. And I don't even know what's going to happen. Sometimes I just sit in on a piece and don't have any end goal. So I'll be in public painting something. People come up to me, what are you doing? You got something going on here. Like, yeah, I'm just sort of doing this right now. And they're like, oh, you don't have any idea what you're doing? Like, no, just going with the flow.
Yeah.
And they're just like, oh.
Well,
it's not for them, it's for me, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
But it cracks me up to see the wide array of reactions a person can get doing your thing in public. I'm never not entertained by like being, painting live at a concert or at a bar or something.
That's cool.
It's great.
That's cool.
But the art park's pretty laid back. It's not swamped with people, and you're generally only talking to the people you want to talk to anyway. So it's all right.
Well, see, I paint with my earbuds. So
a lot of people do.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, for me, it's so that I can listen to the music and, put on canvas what I'm getting in my head.
Yeah.
So, if that makes sense.
Do you put songs on repeat?
Yes,
A
I
lot?
do. Yeah. Yeah, I do. Like, I did Janis Joplin not too long ago, and it was all about Bobby McGee.
That just the one
Yeah,
song?
just that one song.
Do you ever loop like 3 or 5 songs?
Sometimes,
Or do you just
yeah.
nail it down to a small group
Yeah,
or one?
sometimes I'll listen to a whole album sometimes. But, with other paintings, if it's inspired by one specific song, I'll usually write that on the back.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the wooden part, the frame, on the back, I'll say, inspired by whatever song it was.
Well, that's
specifically,
good.
yeah.
And you'll loop that the whole time you're
Yep.
painting? Like from beginning to
Yeah,
end?
yeah, I do.
How long is that generally?
Oh gosh, how long does it take me to paint somebody? Pretty much.
Yeah, like
Well, I mean,
how
if
long
it's
does that
like one of my more common sizes is like a 24 by 24, so that takes me, I don't know, a couple of days, 2 or 3 days. So
You
I'll
get a
have
lot
that
of that
same.
song.
Yeah,
You find yourself just singing it in the car?
I do, and it's weird. But I tell you the craziest thing though, and I have my 13-year-old sitting here next to me. How many songs have you ever turned on that Mom didn't know the lyrics to? None.
None.
See? None.
Is that good or bad?
It's a great thing. It's a great thing. Of course, he doesn't play. There's certain genres that he
There's
could
no
play
crossover.
that I wouldn't know.
Right.
But you put on any classic rock song, anything from that time period, and it's really strange. Like the lyrics just pop into my head. It's really weird.
I mean, I guess when you have them on repeat for that long, whether you
I
choose
do.
to remember it or not,
Yeah.
they just come to you.
I mean, it's and some of them I don't play like that. Some of them I can hear once, and there it is. It's kind of one of those things where, yeah, probably 80% of my brain is taken up with random lyrics.
So, do you interpret the colors the same way every time you hear the song?
No, not necessarily.
So it's not always the same twice?
No, it's not always the same twice. No.
So what do you do with that when you're trying to make one picture?
Because I usually, if I keep my focus, like if I keep my focus on the song, it doesn't change up on me. But if I listen to it and then go listen to something else for a little while and then something else and then try to come back to that original one, it'll change on me. Yeah. So it's it's not something that stays focused if I don't make a conscious effort to stay focused.
So you really have to stay in the groove on that.
Yeah, you have to. And what sucks is, if your mood changes or something and, you hear the song differently or you pick up
a new lyric. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it can throw you off. It can, absolutely. But having the song on repeat that's cool. I don't mind it.
Have you ever been in the middle of a piece and then you just catch or interpret a lyric differently and it just changed the whole thing?
The whole thing. And I have gessoed over it and thrown it out. Yeah. That's happened a couple of times, actually.
Can you name one?
I tried to do Janet Jackson once. And it was not, no.
It didn't work out for you?
No, it did not work out for me. I was listening to the Rhythm Nation album. And I don't know why, but I had it down, like I had her drawn out. And I had her the way I wanted her. And then it was like my colors turned to mud.
Oh, no.
Does that ever happen to you?
It just doesn't look right or good.
They just look muddy. And I tried 2 or 3 different times to do that. And I never could get her quite right. So there's no painting of Janet in my portfolio because never made it to completion.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I try really hard, since I use the neon colors, I try really hard not to put the green and the yellow next to each other.
Yeah.
Because under the black light, they look so similar.
Yeah.
And it makes me so mad because when you look at them in regular light, they're not similar at all. But the way they reflect is just too similar, and it drives me wild. So I have to be very conscious not to put them together in the context of how they're going to look in a different lighting scenario. But I love the way they look when they're next to each other in a normal lighting scenario. So it's this conflict I've got about it. And I'm just like, well, I need to put some red or blue between them so they don't look all stupid when I turn the UV light on. And that's one of those things I have to battle with myself.
Yeah.
And I'll get to the end of a piece and I'm like, wow, I really screwed this up. Like yellows and greens next to each other everywhere, dots, lines, points, everything. Yep, way to go. And I can't, there's only so much you can do to salvage anything.
Yeah.
So I kind of have figured that out in my workflow at this point. I've been working on this style for a couple of years now, so I've really got a good feel for it. I'll just
So you know when you're trucking along, and then whenever you're having,
And then accidentally, sometimes you'll make a piece in some axis asymmetrical, and you're just like, like now I have to have interrupted patterns in these spots and remember not to repeat this pattern that I've been doing for the last 20 minutes in this one spot now.
See, I think that's so cool the way that you do it, because there's not like the only way mine's symmetrical is if I get somebody who's very symmetrical in the face, you know.
I try to do like figure drawing, human figure drawing, and that's to push myself on the opposite end of the spectrum shape-wise.
Yeah.
I like drawing people. They're great, subjects to replicate on paper. Mm-hmm. And it's totally contrasting to what I do for fun and in my creative process. Mm-hmm. Because smooth, continuous lines and, edges and all that things. Like, there are no hard vertices on a human form.
No.
And I draw a lot of those. So I try to switch it up and keep myself on my toes. But I often don't draw faces and hands and feet. So I know what it's like to really just like...
I've done some nudes, which is kind of out of, out of my comfort zone.
And I normally draw nude models. And that's it's a headspace,
Yeah.
It's always a challenge for me just because I'm intently there to challenge my artistic envelope because I do all this regimented geometric stuff all the time. So the randomness... And
that's
the softness of
that's
it.
exactly why I did, tried to do that. Because, I had a friend of mine tell me, it's every artist needs to do a nude. And I'm like, well, I've never really done one. I'll try.
I guess I can.
And hey, like I said, go big or go home. My first nude was a 36 by 48 canvas.
There you go.
So it was,
That's a sizable piece.
But, I ended up loving it.
Well, there you go. That's the important part.
No, I mean, it's not sold yet. I don't care if it ever sells. It's in my house, and I love it. Yeah,
that's great.
It's very geometric behind it, by the way.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, a lot of geometric shapes behind her.
Cool. Like low poly sort of looking. I like that aesthetic a lot.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of like red charcoal drawings and just charcoal drawings in general with my figure drawing. And some of them I really, really enjoy. There's something about the charcoal pencils and how you can shade with them and like lay them on their edge and tilt it this way or tilt it that way and roll it. It's such a versatile pencil. I really, really enjoy using them.
I'm too much of a neat freak to do it. I've got this, I don't know, this neat freak thing that I can't, it just gets everywhere.
Yeah, I don't like writing on chalkboards.
Yeah.
But I will take a graphite pencil or something, a charcoal pencil and run it across newsprint like it ain't nothing. The sensation is so similar, and I'm getting goosebumps right now thinking about chalkboards, but not about the charcoal pencils.
Yeah.
It's so similar of a sensation to drag a charcoal pencil across a piece of newsprint as it is to take a piece of chalk across a chalkboard, but I hate one of them and loathe its existence. Oh my God.
Isn't that crazy?
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yes, it's terrible. And I hate it because I can't even listen to a chalkboard.
Yeah, no, you really do have chill bumps.
Yeah,
that's
I do.
Funny.
It's not even a joke. I hate chalkboards. I hate them. They're so cute, and the aesthetic is great, and like the nostalgia is there. Yeah. But I never want to touch one ever again.
Yeah. No, I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all.
No. So, do you have any other mediums you work in other than paint, past, present?
I have worked with oil pastels in the past. Not a master of them by any means. But I do enjoy them, and I enjoy accenting some of my acrylic pieces with the oil pastel. I've tried watercolor before. Kudos to every watercolor artist out there. I'm serious. I can't control it. I don't know what it is. Watercolors, I wish I could, but I can't.
I try my hand every few months.
Yeah. Yeah. And it just looks like a big mess to me when I do it.
I'm working on a piece I'm going to collaborate with a friend of mine in Nashville. I just need to send it to him. I'm being really lazy. But
that's all right.
I did a watercolor cave, and he's gonna.
Oh, cool.
It's like a view from the inside looking out, and he's gonna draw like this big monster out in the
field. Oh, that's somewhere. Cool.
Yeah, he likes drawing creatures and monsters and things, and
like a sci-fi guy.
Yeah, he's big into sci-fi things and other various forms of art that are really cartoony and enjoyable to the both of us. So
you know what I'm about to do? Speaking of sci-fi,
drop it on me. Let's go.
Yeah, a present for my husband for Christmas. I'm going to
Wait.
No, it's okay. He knows.
Okay.
He knows. Huge canvas. Haven't decided what size yet. Battlestar Galactic.
All right, I'm here for it.
All the spaceships, that were in the Armada. I'm going to do all those.
Oh goodness.
That is his favorite show of all time. So I'm going to attempt to do that, which is something that I have never.
And you're gonna hang it proudly in the home somewhere where everybody.
No,
can see
he says if it's good, he's going to take it to work.
If it's good.
If it's good.
He's gonna hang it in his office.
Yeah, he said so.
He said so.
Yeah.
You gonna hold him to it?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. And then I'll know that if he leaves it at home,
it's not.
It's not very.
Ooh, he set the bar.
Yeah, he did.
He put himself in a corner. He did. Mm-hmm. Well, there's the surprise of this conversation, sir. You've put yourself in a corner. Not that you're getting this for Christmas. It's that you put yourself in a corner.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Are there any mediums you want to use in the future?
I'd love to use oil.
Do you have patience for that?
I do not.
I don't.
I do not. And that's what I'm saying is I would love to do oil. I think that the texture is amazing. I really do.
Yeah, I agree.
But I just don't have the patience for it.
I can't wait 3 weeks for something to dry.
No, I can't either. And it takes even longer than that for it to cure when it's all finished. I mean, you can't. How long do you have to wait to mail an oil?
I don't know.
Painting. I mean,
longer. The answer is something
longer
I have no
than you
desire
have.
Yeah. I have no desire to find out.
Yeah. So maybe somebody who is a oil painter can tell us, but I have no clue.
Yeah, if you're an oil painter, chime in. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Let us know.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
In the comments below, LOL. Yeah, I don't have the patience for it. I've tried it. I've used it. I cannot. Like you've seen my super secret studio here. I have paintings everywhere.
Oh yeah.
So it's I'm too productive, prolific to set aside the time for that thing to dry and cure properly because I just lean stuff up in the corner. And if I lean something on top of that, then it's screwed. You know?
That's why I use acrylic. Because acrylic is like the workhorse of the art world.
Yeah.
It's, you can touch acrylic, you can whatever. It's really hard to mess up acrylic.
It is. It really is.
And being in my house with the 3 kids, if it makes it out of my house without being messed up, I'm not worried about it at yours. So
it's already passed the test.
Yeah, absolutely. If my kids can't destroy it, you can't either.
Excellent.
So
I think that's a good test.
Yeah. Yeah, I do too.
It gets a little rowdy, right?
Arm. Yeah.
It gets a little rowdy.
Yeah.
I've put my feet through things that have been, laid up in the corner of the house.
Have you really?
Oh yeah, just like stumbling around the house and accidentally step on something. And you know what? I had to cut other holes in that piece to make it look like it was intentional.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, I did it.
Oh God.
I really did it.
Well, I just installed a bunch of my artwork at Hodges Library, in UT campus.
Yeah.
And we were hanging one of the paintings, and it fell off the wall as soon as we hung it, and it broke the frame. Luckily, though, somehow, I don't know how, I was able to get it back into the groove that it needed to go in, and it's like nothing ever happened.
Well, there you go.
But where the staples are in the frame, it pulled loose right there. So I just popped it back together. Yeah, so I just popped it back into place, and fingers crossed. Not saying which painting it is, but no, I'm
it's
kidding.
Up there. And
it's up there, and it looks good, and it didn't warp it. It didn't do anything like that. So far I've been lucky.
Yeah, that's very lucky.
Yeah.
So outside of what you see when you listen to music, do you have any external influences that work their way into your art or not?
That's a good question. Yeah, absolutely. Like for example, with Dolly Parton, I've probably painted her more than any other musician that I've painted. Her philanthropy really made it into one of the ones that I did. It was called Lady Butterfly. And I painted her as a superhero. Mm-hmm. Because, honestly, I mean,
She does a lot.
With everything she's done.
She does a lot.
People see her that way, and for good reason.
Yeah.
And that's absolutely an external force that made me do that. And actually, the lady who bought that, I believe, she can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe she is one of the librarians at Central High School. So she said something about possibly hanging it in there. So I don't know if it ever got hung up there or, yeah, if you go to Central, let me know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah. But that one, Lady Butterfly, definitely was an external thing.
Have any other similar cases?
There was one where I painted Johnny Cash. It's called The End, and I actually still have that painting. It's in my shop online, and it's actually at Hodges Library, hanging up. I called it The End, and it was inspired by the Nine Inch Nails cover he did, Hurt. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't so much inspired by the sound of it. It was inspired by the visual of the video.
Yeah, which was shot really well.
Which was absolutely one of the most powerful things I've ever seen.
It's a really dramatic video.
Yeah, and that one was not, that one had nothing to do with what I see. And everything to do with what I saw on screen. With everything that, everybody else can see too. So that was more of an external force on me than any of his music.
That's kind of the opposite of how you work.
Exactly, which was really crazy. But I just, for some reason, after I watched that, I was like, I've got to paint this.
That didn't happen very often for you, does it?
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't happen to me either.
Yeah.
But when you see that thing, it strikes you, and now you're like, oh man, I need to do my version of this.
Yeah, and I did, and I was really happy with it. I was really happy with the way it came out. And again, a lot of it was about his eyes, and I don't know what it is with me and eyes too, but I have.
They're an iconic thing. You get drawn to it.
Yeah, and his are so. They're so soulful and so deep, and there's just so much behind his eyes. And, there are people who really don't have much there, and there are other people who their whole life stories in their eyes.
Yeah, true. And there's a lot of very close-up footage of his face in that video too, so you get a really good shot.
And he's older in that video too. It's just every wrinkle and every crease and every crevice you can see, and it's just like there's a story behind every one of them. You just know there is.
You cannot deny the realism that is trying to be put forth in that video.
Oh yeah.
It makes me want to go look up the cinematographer and set design people for that thing now, because I'm nerdy. I go dig into that sort of stuff.
So I'm too.
Yeah.
That's all good.
I want to know the people that made it look that way.
Yeah, whoever did that, those are true artists.
Yeah.
And artists can be used, for so many different things. I think an artist is whoever's passionate about what they do.
And I like talking to the passionate people, because the passionate people are usually the folks that can articulate their thoughts and inflections on the topic at whatever the topic is the best. And I like listening to people talk, and I like talking to people myself. That's why I do this. And there'll be a lot of times where I'll sit at home, and the Hollywood Reporter does these video series on YouTube of entertainment industry roundtables. Writers, directors, actors, all that stuff, and you'll get 5-6 people around a table that are top tier people in their field of the entertainment industry or whatever it is they do, and they sit there and talk for 45 minutes. And I just sit there and drool.
I'll have to listen to that. I'll have to check that out.
I really enjoy that.
Cool.
It's just passionate people talking articulately about the things that they do and the intricacies of it really entertain me. Even down to the really technical stuff, or the.
Well, that's why you do what you do with the podcast. That's sweet.
It's part of it. Yeah. I like having those conversations myself as much as I like being the fly on the wall for those conversations.
That's pretty cool.
Because it's fun to be involved in these conversations.
Well, you just get to pick the brain of, whoever you're talking to.
Yeah.
Which is really neat, because, you can't really, I don't know, you don't get into that deep a detail in just a
black and white picture on a screen. Yeah, it's fun, and I very much enjoy these interactions on top of the interactions via any other, social space, because I like seeing people's voices come out of people's faces. Yeah. It entertains me in a way that you don't get anywhere else.
So do I look like what you thought I would?
I try not to do that.
You don't do that?
I really
Are you
try
serious?
Yes, I really try not to do that.
Oh, come on.
I mean, I looked at your social media, so I saw you there, but I really try not to have any. I try to leave it as open-ended as possible until we sit here in front of this microphone.
So you couldn't tell my age due to the people that I paint.
I wasn't worried about it.
No, I'm curious.
No, I honestly didn't think about it.
Yeah.
I like I said, I just try to leave it as open-ended as possible, because if I do anything to sort of like cage this moment in my mind before we get here and do this thing, it's not as genuine as it could be, because I've already put some form of expectations on it.
That's true.
From my own end, and I feel guilty if I do that. It's not the thing.
The only reason I say that is because most people are like, you give away your age with who you paint. I'm like, you know what? I don't care. I'm 42 and proud.
Like, do something from Gone with the Wind then.
I mean, it's...
They really mess with people and their perceptions. Like, I painted this when I was 17, Gone with the Wind. I have to mess with people like that sometimes.
It is fun.
And a lot of people see my art and they think I do a lot of drugs because I do really psychedelic stuff. And that's par for the course. It's hilarious. People ask me, like, what were you on when you did this one, man? I was like, well, I was on the couch. Like,
are you serious?
Yeah.
You've actually been asked that?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Oh, dude, people ask all sorts of stuff with my subject matter. I can imagine yours lends itself to a bit more niche amount of conversation. But
a little bit, yeah.
People, I have no fear to hurl questions at me like that.
That's
just
so
based
funny.
on the nature of the images I present to them. And I find it very entertaining.
Now, do they do this before they see you, or
anytime, as long as the art and those images are present? They're like, wow, man, you must do drugs. I'm like, sometimes, but not really. Like, it doesn't. I think they always assume that I'm way more than what actually
that you're way cooler than you know.
I guess that must be
I'm
it.
just kidding.
No, I'm not as crazy as people think I am based on the images I produce.
Yeah,
and that really cracks them up.
Well, people a lot of times with what I paint and stuff, they're like, oh, well, you must be able to sing or play an instrument. Nope.
Right.
I can't carry a tune in a basket, and I can keep the beat on drums, and that's about it.
If I'm lucky, I can tap my foot in time. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's, I hate to say it. I wish I was musically inclined, but painting's about all you're going to get out of me.
I played music in elementary school and middle school, but I never really found an instrument that I had to stick with just because I couldn't put it down. But now I somewhat ironically play the jaw harp with my friends, and I have very talented musically inclined friends.
Yeah,
and
they're fascinating, aren't they?
Yeah, they're great.
To sit and talk to musicians and just watch them create.
I did it yesterday.
Yeah, they're so cool.
The three gentlemen I had around the table yesterday were all musicians in some form or fashion, and another one painted, another one ran lights and sound, and another one takes like wildlife photography and does mixed media artwork. Like I said, I have a very creative social circle.
That's cool.
I sat down with those guys yesterday, which I'll probably publish today if you're listening to this later. Blah blah blah. Time is funny. But yeah, that's what happened yesterday, and it was a a fun, spacey conversation. It was two of the guys that were on my first episode, and another friend of mine that I'd interviewed throughout the year. So we just kick back and talk shit.
Musicians are some of the best people in the world. I swear they are. Before I had my kids and before I got married and everything else, I used to live with a couple of musicians, and seriously, just to watch them play and watch them as they create something new. Because these weren't just guys that played, whoever's like cover songs and things like that. These guys actually wrote their own music. Mm-hmm. And it was just fascinating just to sit and watch.
Yeah. How they parse things together is always an interesting thing. Yeah. The more foreign the medium, the more fun I have watching people do it. And I can kind of read music, and I understand. I've been able to read music. I know sort of what's going on.
Well, you're better than I am because I can't.
Well, it doesn't serve me any now, so it's not like that's a skill I use all the time. But it's fun to watch people work together to do a communal thing on stage. I like watching my friends jam.
Like jam bands and stuff, yeah.
So it's just fun to watch them play in that context because I know them so well outside of that context. It's fun to watch.
Which jam bands do they listen to?
Oh man, Grateful Dead, Fish, Moe. I
listen to a lot of Widespread Panic.
Yeah, Panic, Spangle, STS9, like all that good stuff. We're all knee deep, and I'm sure they know ones that I don't even know that exist and they listen to all the time. But I'm a big STS9 and Moe and panic fan.
Yeah. I'm so proud of people when they come to my booth and stuff at like markets, because I've got a sticker of a painting that I did of JB.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm so proud of them when they know who it is. I can't tell you how, it makes me so happy to know that there are other people out there that like Panic that know exactly who it is. And there's a guy that owns, I think it's the Hemp House in Knoxville.
Yeah.
He came by and actually bought a painting that I did called Home Team. And it was of Todd Nance and JB and Dave Schools and Mikey. So
and they
knew who it was,
yeah.
And they had so much appreciation for the band, and there's so many people who just don't know who it is.
So that one's off to a good home.
Yes, yes. He actually sent me a photo, and I was very, very pleased about that.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I love it when they find appropriate homes.
Yes, and that was definitely appropriate for that one.
Good. I'm glad. So we're rounding out about the hour now. I've got one question I normally ask at the top of the show that I haven't asked yet.
Okay.
What's it like being a creative person in Knoxville right now?
It's actually very welcoming in Knoxville right now. There are a lot of small businesses who are really immersed in the art community right now. They want local artists in their businesses. They want to showcase that. Mm-hmm. They want to work with local artists. I think that as far as the artists themselves go, everybody's really supportive of each other, for the most part, from what I've found. I love to get on social media and highlight other local musicians. That's a lot of fun for me, just because there's so much talent.
Yeah, there's a lot of talent.
I think Knoxville is probably more packed with talent per capita than any other city that I know of.
I won't disagree with that at all. There's a lot of creative people here.
Yeah, and I mean, just extremely talented people. I mean, and it from everything. There's a guy that does woodworking. He's Rough Cut on Instagram. If you guys don't follow him, please do. He's awesome. Some of the things that he does with woodworking is just breathtaking. I mean, if you look him up later if you get a chance.
Yeah,
but I mean, just absolutely breathtaking. And it's, we've got painters, we've got sculptors, we've got musicians, we've got dancers, we've got there's so many creatives here,
I agree. And you can find out about any First Friday you go. You pick one and walk around, and you'll find, hundreds of creative people out displaying their wares.
And that's why I always try to have something on display somewhere.
Yeah.
And I think it's that part of being an artist that we don't necessarily like, which is the marketing aspect of it.
A lot of us aren't great at that, including myself.
Well, the only reason that I can do it or even enjoy it a little bit is I was a journalist before I had my family.
Oh, there you go.
So I was a print journalist. So I'm familiar with, media releases. I'm familiar with, what it takes to really get things out there for people to see. So luckily, I had that background.
Useful, yeah.
Yeah, it's very useful.
Yeah, very.
So, I think as a creative person, if you can find your niche and if you can get it out there among the masses, you can absolutely do it full time. I actually did a panel with the University of Tennessee not too long ago on how to monetize your artwork. And,
is that available somewhere?
I don't know. I know they recorded it for their class, but, anytime anybody ever asks me anything about monetizing, I will absolutely take my time and talk to you about it. There are a couple of things that you have to make sure that you do. And if you do those things,
then you're pretty well set. Get your bases covered, kind of thing.
Yeah. And excellent. I could actually do it full time now myself. And my husband's a police officer, so, he's not like independently wealthy, you know. But I'm able to do it full time just because of the marketing background that I had. And I don't really, I don't enjoy that side of it as much as I do painting. But luckily, I've got that background.
And that's, as opposed as it seems to doing what you're doing, it really comes in handy.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, that's a really black and white hard skill that's really complementing the soft skill you have as being a creative person.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I got lucky.
Yeah, you did.
Just lucked out.
It's that's a difficult dichotomy to really manage.
Yeah.
It is. And the people that are really good at it, they will say it's hard to manage, and the people that aren't really good at it will cuss about how hard it is to figure out.
Mm-hmm.
And
because as artists,
I fall on both sides of that.
We don't want to toot our own horn. I mean, it's not something we want to do because a lot of times we don't create for other people. We create for ourselves.
And when I'm done with it, it's for other people.
Yeah, but you see what I'm saying.
Initially
it's for you. Yeah. And a lot of people have a hard time going, hey, look at me, and nobody wants to do that. But there are ways that you can do it effectively and get yourself out there so that you can support yourself as a working artist.
Excellent. Here's sort of an oddball question that I have trouble with every now and again.
Uh-huh.
When does what you create become art?
Oh, gosh.
Do you bestow that title from the beginning, or does it happen somewhere in the process?
I think it happens somewhere in the process. I don't think that I can say just because I'm a quote unquote full-time artist, whatever the heck that means. Yeah. It just means I make money from my artwork. Luckily, thank God. I think it becomes art when somebody looks at it that way. When it's artwork to somebody else. So the perception of the viewer? Yeah, I think so. I think it has everything to do with that. As artists, everything's art to us because it comes from our soul. It comes from our creative flow. But I think that it becomes art when it's seen that way by other people.
I like that answer.
Does that make sense?
I like that answer a lot.
Yeah.
The conclusion I've come to most often, because I think about this every now and again, is when I decided to share the thing.
Yeah.
Because I've created it, I went through the exercise I need to for myself, and I may or may not have given myself time to appreciate it just as a thing that I've done in my hands and I'm now finished with. But when I hand it off in some metaphorical sense to somebody and go,
what do you think?
Yeah.
Because you're opening yourself up. You really are.
It's the decision to let other people have an opinion about it. Mm-hmm. Because I've done the thing. It's solely mine up until that point. And that's when another person's opinion can, in all justifiable senses, be thrust upon this thing. Because that's where you're putting it.
Oh, yeah. And I have heard, I have a habit of doing this, just so everybody knows, like First Friday shows. I'll go to my own First Friday show, but I don't introduce myself. I don't do anything but stand there.
Oh, yeah.
Because
I love it.
I want to know what you think without knowing that you're talking to the artist. Mm. So I've sat there and I've heard some great things, and I've sat there and I've heard some pretty nasty things. But you gotta be able to take it both.
Yeah, you have to.
You have to. Yeah.
I like being a fly on the wall when I have art on display, and it's not often that I'm just like, here's a sign at the table, come talk to the artist.
Yeah,
I'll be in the corner of the bar sipping a beer, just watching people run around and look at it, and I greatly enjoy that.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Well, that's why I've got a little bit of anxiety too, so that's another reason why I don't go, hey, look at me.
Yeah, and I very much enjoy watching my art speak for itself.
Me too. Yeah.
And because I enjoy it, it makes me happy. I hope that someone out there also sees it and gets some sort of positive reaction out of it. Mm-hmm. I like seeing that. And when people walk up on it and turn their nose, what is this? I just have to laugh because it's I know exactly what it is. Uh-huh. But if they don't get it, that's not their fault.
Yeah, no, it's not their fault, and it's not your fault either.
No, it's really not.
It's just, all it is just a little bit of a disconnect, and that's okay, because not everything was meant to connect.
Yeah, and sometimes I've got really abstract ideas that end up on this canvas, and I can't expect everybody to stretch their brain to fit my things.
But how cool is it when they actually do
I love it.
Yeah.
So the event before last I did at the art park, I did the creature called a shroomy fish. It's just a hybrid jellyfish mushroom looking creature that I draw that just lives rent free in my brain as this pretty thing that just floats around in my brain.
That's cool.
Just this creature that's always there. So, if I get bored and don't really know what to draw, I'll draw another version of this thing, and it's just a thing I'm used to drawing and really comfortable with. So I draw it all kinds of ways. And I drew 2 on this wall at the event, and I heard this guy from 40 feet away go, oh man, the mushrooms look like jellyfish. And I'm just turn around.
You're like, exactly.
Yes. He's like, man, that looks like something you'd see in a Japanese video game. And I was like, yes. Uh-huh. So he just kept rolling, gave me 3 or 4 compliments like that. And I was riding on a high after that. So I was like, you get it. Thank you so much. I did everything but kiss him on the cheek. Yay.
That's cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And those moments are few and far between.
They
but
really
when they
are.
happen,
Oh man, it's great.
Yeah, it is.
It's really nice. But I normally do things that are pretty abstract and less realism. So it's hard for people to look at one of my mandalas and be like, oh yeah, that's one of these. You know, because you can't really say that about that. You either find it aesthetically pleasing in some way or not. And it's more black and white for things that are more abstract, in my opinion. And I like seeing the gray areas people are willing to put themselves in to understand what's going on.
Yeah.
They contort.
It's always entertaining.
They contort their logic some way. Pretty funny sometimes.
Yeah, they do.
But so the last question I like to ask is, who or what would you like to hear in the format on the podcast in the future? Do you have any artists, people that inspire you that you'd like to hear? Any business owners that interact with the creative scene in Knoxville, you'd like to hear them on here? Anything
you ought to have
like that?
Paris Woodhull on here.
I would like to have Paris Woodhull.
You need to have her on here because she can take the simplest drawing and put so much life into it. It's crazy. You know, the animations that she does. She I don't know what it is, but it's just almost like these simple little things convey so much through her.
I think I've actually reached out to her at some point, and may next year be able to get her on here. She's busy.
Yeah, you also need to get Stanton Webster from Postmodern Spirits.
Okay, I know Stanton.
Stanton is phenomenal. I cannot say enough about Stanton. Love him to death. He is probably one of the most supportive business owners in my mind as far as, First Fridays and things go. Stanton's wonderful. And I would love to hear his take on why it is he is so passionate about supporting artists.
Well, that's great. Like breaking into that sort of genre of person is something I haven't really done yet, but I do want to interview like brewers and distillers and business owners, and
I think you should.
They are not excluded from this network I'm trying to build here.
Yeah, because I want to know why. I mean, because they don't have to.
Yeah, they really don't.
They don't have to support us, but most of them do, and they do to an amazing amount. So I would like to know why.
Yeah, right.
You know,
I mean,
seriously.
I like Stanton.
Yeah,
I know him. I'm familiar with him through the social scene in Knoxville, and a cousin of mine's a really good friend with him. They brewed and distilled together and whatnot. So I would like to sit down and have that conversation. That would be a very fun one.
Well, you tell him that Kara wants him on the podcast.
I'll have to bend his ear about it. What I think you need to do now that I don't think you did at the top of the show is plug your socials and tell people your website and where they can find your stuff.
Well, my socials are really easy on Facebook and Instagram. It's just K Lockmiller Art. And Lockmiller is exactly how it sounds. It's LOCKMILLER. My website is klockmillerart.com. I used to be on Etsy. I outgrew Etsy a little and then decided to go out on my own with my own website now. So I'm off Etsy and on my own. I'm not on Twitter. I'm not on, like DeviantArt, things like that. Yeah. I'm not on any of that. Like I said, I'm older. So you will find me on Instagram and you will find me on Facebook and on my own website.
And I think that covers the bases pretty well.
Yeah.
That's 3 spots easy to get to.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. I've had a fun conversation. This has been a good episode of the KAAMP. If y'all want to support the podcast, you can do the thing via Anchor. I have the listener support options available. It would be really, really nice if y'all went and did that for me. It would help me keep this thing rolling. Otherwise, you can go buy art from me, a.k.a. The Twisted Wrist on Instagram. Thomas Zachary be the name. I have all kinds of pieces up for sale right now. I'm doing my year-end fire sale. Lots of reasonable prices on some big, little, and medium price things. So please go check them out. There's a highlight on my Instagram story dedicated to all these pieces and a post on my Facebook page, blah, 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 blah. Thank y'all very much for listening. It's been a good time. I hope to see y'all in the future. Thank you.